Hey everybody, welcome back to another JBoz gaming video. This is your host JBoz, and today we'd like to talk about a map called Cliff. So let's get into it. Alright, with Cliff, as with any other map, there are three game modes that you'll play on Cliff. The first is the standard mode, where you have opposing flags or cap circles. And then the second mode will be the encounter mode, where both teams will try to capture a neutral flag or cap circle. And then, of course, you can also play Team Destruction on Cliff, where there are no cap circles to capture, but there you have to just kill the opposing team. All right, so let's talk about routes of attack. Cliff is a fairly open map, means that it is a good map for artillery, and it is not necessarily a good map that has a lot of arty safe zones. So let's talk about routes of attack. We'll start with the green side first. The green team has a few different ways to attack. The first one being up this way and around the mountain that predominates this map, following the road and coming down their hill to their cap circle is one route of attack. The other is through the west flank, following the road through the buildings and up to their cap circle. And then there's maybe one other, but it's really an offshoot. Instead of going around the mountain, going in front of the mountain, through the middle of the map, and to their cap circle. Now, there's still a lot of other areas that you want to be able to get to in Cliff that are very important in this map. So those are the three primary routes of attack for Cliff. Now, off of the west and central attack routes, there's multiple ways to get up into this middle area. So you can deter and go up into the middle, in this case, to overlook this cliff, and vice versa. You can deter and slightly go, here, though you aren't going to really attack the cap circle from here, though there are ways to get down off this cliff and make progress towards the cap circle. I wouldn't call these routes of attack. I'd call these routes of sniper position, really far up sniper position. Okay, and the red has the same ability to pursue these routes as well. As they come off of this route, they can deter up into the middle and have sniper position here, as well as deter off of this route and have sniper position here. So the red team also has the same routes of attack through the map, and so they can go these ways, these same attack routes, just the opposite direction that I've drawn for green. Um, so let's talk about how this map plays a little bit. In the lower tiers, the map plays pretty quick because it is an open map, and fast tanks can traverse this map pretty quickly. In the upper tiers, it plays a little bit differently, because tanks are a little bit slower. It has more brawl points, but you'll see a lot of people, a lot of your allies, and a lot of the enemies go to this west flank and try to fight it out, brawl over here. Um, and in the higher tiers, really what you'll see is a lot of brawling around this north side, or east side, I should say, of the map, but this east side of the mountain, there'll be a brawl over here. And so with lower tiers, typically the slower tanks can't get to this position before the fast tanks, so it kind of takes this brawl point away. So it's something that you should note, that when you're playing, let's say tiers, I would even say 5, 4, and 3. you're going to be playing this map a little faster, and this isn't necessarily a brawl point, or that you need to be concerned about necessarily in your heavy tanks or even medium tanks. Where upper tier, this is a very important part of the map, and strategically how to win the map. The key to this map is winning this middle area because you have advantage, and have map control once you have the middle area. But you can't just go to the middle area early on and just hold it. So you have to slowly gain map control, and then once you have control of the middle, then you can finish off the enemy by using the cliffs that overlook each cap. So let's talk about terrain a little bit. So here, this is a hill that goes up. This is a hill that kind of goes up, right? But once you're up on this level, this is pretty much all the same level of terrain. Obviously, the mountain is higher. This you can't climb. It's not something that you can do. You can put tanks up here to spot, though this I don't. For some reason, everybody thinks that this is a great location. It is not. Generally, once you're up here, you're stuck up here, and it's very hard unless you have really, really good gun depression to get shots down on the enemy. And once they're aware that you're up there, they can kind of get hill safe, if you will, where you can't really shoot down on them because they'll stay close to the hill. And you'll also be a major target for Artie and others to quickly take you out, just so you can't spot or snipe down. And generally, they'll send a counter light tank or two up to eliminate you. And like I said, once you're up here, you're isolated. So unless you're very good at playing the hill, I would not recommend that for new people trying to learn or get better at the game, because, like I said, you're just isolating yourself and you'll be eliminated at some point. I've seen some games where they just ignore the hill. There's a light tank on the hill. They just ignore it. They kill all of his allies, and just cap. They leave them up on the hill, and that's the only tank to survive the battle. So this hill is not as dominant as people think it is. It's really the center of the map that's very, very important. On the encounter battle, it's even more important because that's where the encounter flag is. It's a little closer to the north side of the map versus the south side of the map. But honestly, though this team can get there a little quicker, it's still very treacherous to get here and just cap, because once you cap, people know that you're on the central hill, and then it's a main fight to get to the hill, and usually you'll be uncapped before you can cap it out. So to try to cap early on cliff is kind of foolish. It just tells the opposing team where you are. So I wouldn't cap early on cliff. But because the north side is a little closer, they can come up this hill and get to the cap circle. That's the safe route. If you want to go the dangerous route, you can come through here, right, and attack the cap circle from this side. But then you open yourself up to sniper fire or anybody that's trying to hold down this flank, because you have to come around this hill in order to get up to the plateau. And so this right here is where it leads up. So you could be shot trying to get around the mountain. This is elevated a little bit in front of the mountain, and it is got some bushes, some rocks. So to know this area is pretty good, because if you have gun depression, then you can kind of use that gun depression to fight your enemy, and also get shots on any defenders that are trying to defend their opposing mountain side. And eventually, if you win this, then you get shots on maybe any heavies or tank destroyers that are trying to hold down this northern flank. So you can kind of put them in a crossfire. But again, this is higher tiers. Lower tiers, you don't have a brawl over here, but you still want to win this because you want to control the middle. And so once you win this, you can kind of eliminate any tanks that they do have out on their opposing plateau with the mountainside. And once you control kind of this area of the map, let me kind of draw this a little bit differently. Once you control this area of the map, right, then, and let's say you even control your side here. Once you control all of this, well then now you can concentrate fire on any defenders they have here, as well as the cap circle. All right, so let's talk about different tank types. The Arties, depending on where they spawn, you'll have Arties sitting on this back row, back here. You'll have maybe an Artie sitting here in the bushes, just to change it up, but they're always on this back row. And sometimes they will go ahead and get down, and they'll be in this little valley here behind their plateau that their cap circle sits on, and they'll sit down here in the lower section. So Arties they will be on this back line. Now, like I said, this is an Artie friendly map, and they have, sitting back here, they have shots on pretty much everything except around the mountain and right behind the middle hill here. They obviously can't shoot the cliff here. You have some rocks to hide behind, but for the most part, you're open to Artie fire wherever you are. So the only way to really stay Artie safe on cliff is to don't sit still, keep moving, and then if you can get into a position to take a quick rest, that's fine. But for the most part, you have to keep moving on cliff, or you have a chance of being artified. With the brawl points, obviously, and Arties being able to not hit the opposite corners of the mountain, that's where kind of the defensive positions begin. So on the higher tiers, you'll have heavies, thick frontal armored tank destroyers positioned up here, and the opposing team's heavies and tank destroyers will be positioned here, with probably other tank destroyers sitting back trying to snipe down the line, maybe here, but they if they're not careful, they will open themselves up to Artie fire. So again, Artie safe on this map is pretty exclusive. But lower tiers, where the heavies tend to go is to brawl on this side of the map. So you might have a something like a B1 or a B2, or maybe an AMX or AMX 40 or something like that, positioned on these corners, juxtaposing each other and holding people from getting up to this side, or at least using this side as a route to get up to the center area. You will also see some heavies come up here and try to hold down this middle area in the lower tiers. They're really slow traversing up these, so it's not advised, because what happens is a lot of the lights and mediums are fast enough that they can outpace you and get into these positions before you're really truly up the hill, and then you're kind of caught out in the open. You'll probably get locked down behind a rock, and then eventually you'll be isolated and eliminated. So, you can continue to try to defend this for your team if you're in a heavy, but it's not really a good idea. In the lower tiers, it's best to keep yourself over here and lock down this west flank. All right. So Arties for the green team are always on this back row. It is rare, but you will sometimes see an Artie sit over here. For the most part, the Arties are always going to be in this corner. They'll be in different places on this side of the map, but it's going to be in this area. So I'll just draw a circle where the Artie is going to be. He's going to be in here somewhere. The reason for that is there is good bush cover on this side, and because you can use the hill a little bit as Artie protection, counter Artie protection, let's put it that way. The Arties tend to sit back into these bushes and and try to get shots on the rest of the map. Now back here, same thing, pretty much wide open map. They just can't shoot the backside of the mountain and the backside of the little hill in the middle or mountain in the middle. So that's arties. Tank destroyers. Tank destroyers, like I said, some of them will position here. Sorry, I can't draw today apparently. And then you'll also have tank destroyers sitting here, shooting down this flank. You'll have some positioned here, holding this flank down. There are pretty big rocks here. You might have some behind rocks here. And some fast tank destroyers will certainly try to push up and get position to shoot around the mountain and sit back and shoot around the mountain. And you'll have some that position to try to help hold the middle. There are rocks on this side with some good bush cover, and so you might have a tank destroyer sitting here to hold the middle, as well as to shoot any foolish light tank that wants to play on the mountain. So that's kind of where on the green side tank destroyers tend to set. There's fallback positions and so on, but for the most part, that's where you want to get to be in a defensive position as a tank destroyer. And then, of course, the red team's tank destroyers, they'll take position in this little town around the buildings as well as around bushes that can conceal them. You might even have one take position here to hold the flank if you don't have heavies. And so they'll be positioned more towards this. The other thing that this allows these tank destroyers to do is still with cover reposition and hold this hill if the green team does break through the eastern flank or through the middle and is trying to progress down this hill. Well, then they can turn and have shots on this opposing hill here. So that's why they tend to sit on this side. You can have, again, red fast tank destroyers, position up to the actual mountain and hold down the mountain. Certainly on heavier tiers, you're going to have that. You're going to have tank destroyers positioned to try to shoot and help the heavies hold this flank. Again, sitting back like this opens yourself up to arty fire, so you have to be careful. So that's red tank destroyers. Green tank destroyers, the same thing. They can turn and shoot this hill. The only difference is here you have actual cover. Here you tend to not. There are rocks that give you cover here, which provides a little bit of cover, but for the most part, this side is a little more open, and therefore you don't have as much cover as this side. All right. So that's tank destroyers. Heavies we've talked about there on the corners. Artillery we've talked about. So lights and mediums. Okay. This is a light and medium map in a sense. It's predominantly arty. If you have arties or multiple arties, you got to be careful. But lights and mediums have a pretty good field day on this map because it is so open and you can push so fast to get up into the early positions to spot or to attack. So light tanks generally will move up this side and try to get into the middle, and there'll be a little bit of on the lower tiers a little bit of a brawl here with lights and mediums to try to win the middle. And obviously once they win the middle, then they're going to take up opposing positions on this clip face to shoot whoever they can see and spot for the artillery as best they can. So you will have light tanks and medium tanks positioned. Oops, that's red. Sorry about that. So the green tanks, you'll have lights and mediums push up into these positions to try to assist and support. Especially early, they might come around and spot and then fall back. But they're going to try to hold this middle position as best they can until they can win the fight to push onto the cliff. You'll also have some mediums and lights rush through here early game. So they'll rush up to the to this position, and as they do, what they're trying to do is spot the defenders of the flank, so that their defenders of the flank will have shots on them as well as the arties. So you'll have light tanks pushing into the middle. Now, to do this, you're risking getting shot, obviously, but it is a good way to get some early spotting damage if you've got your defenders in position and you do make that run up the middle and quickly cover up. It's such a limited time that you'd be exposed that it's not a bad play. You'll get some spotting and hopefully some spotting damage, and you'll also position yourself into the middle. And again, this middle part is where the mediums and lights will kind of brawl and try to take each other out. But once you're up here, you need to move to the back side of this smaller hill, because if they still have artillery or they still have people in the plateau on their mountainside, then you're susceptible to obviously fire and potentially crossfire. So you gotta realize that, and once you're up here, you want to really stay to the back side of the mountain. You can traverse once you come up here and traverse around. Again, just trying to spot people and then come back to your side of the map. So this is a definite maneuver to spot people more than stay here and shoot early game. And then later game, it's okay, once you've got map control and you're in a position where you can sit and snipe, then you want to push up to the cliff and start spotting and sniping as best you can as lights and mediums. But this is the area that lights and mediums play a lot in. Lights and mediums in the lower tier also play a part on this cliff map, because if they can push up and around, especially pretty fast tanks, up and around this hill and win the opposing cliff face, well, now they're putting a huge amount of pressure on anybody sitting at the cap circle, like the artillery, and the tank destroyers now have two flanks to guard, and they now have put the hill in a crossfire, or this middle section in a crossfire position. So a lot of tanks will traverse around the mountain and attack from that direction. There'll be some mediums and light tanks that push into the middle and try to push over the middle at the same time. But this whole area here is where the lights and mediums play. And there's not one spot where you sit, because again, I want to remind you, this is not an arty safe map. And so you want to keep moving as a medium and a light tank and try to really not allow that arty to have a good shot on you. When you do stop or need to take cover, there are various buildings and rocks around, but just be aware, you have to really know where that arty's sitting, because if he's sitting in this corner, he might be able to hit you, let's say behind a certain building. But if he's sitting over here, he's got a different angle and can maybe hit you even though you're sitting behind the building. So you really have to be aware of where the arties are sitting to even take any of these buildings as refuge. So that's why I tend to steer people towards the mountains, because they don't shift, right? Once you're here, you could be pushed too far up, and then this guy would have position to shoot you. But generally, this back corner of the mountain is pretty arty safe, and this back corner of the little mountain in the middle, I call it the hill, is already safe. However, you've got to have map control here, because then you could be opening yourself up to fire from their plateau, from the mountainside. So that's the lights and mediums, and that's how Cliff basically plays. Obviously, with certain tanks, you go into certain positions. But for now, I think we've covered the general strategy of Cliff. And so if this video has been helpful, please, feel free to click the like button, give me feedback in that way. And if you like what we're doing here at JBoz Gaming, please hit that subscribe button, as that helps the channel grow. And if you want to know when the next video uploads, kind of hit that bell, and that'll send you a notification when I upload next. All right, guys, until we do another video, you guys good luck on the battlefield, and I'll see you in the next one.